Hey everybody, my name is Alexis Alexander and you are tuned in to the Real Deal Show. We are back once again with a very special guest. Guys, it's therapist to therapist. It's black therapist to black therapist. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a vibe. We have Matt, aka the Black Therapist. Matt is an addictions practitioner, trauma-led counsellor, dad, husband, and very importantly, an Arsenal fan. He's currently on a sabbatical from his program lead role at University of East Anglia. Currently, he's working with unaccompanied asylum seekers via various local authorities. Matt, welcome to The Real Deal Show.
Yay,
You're here. You're here.
So excited to be here.
Good to have you. Arsenal fan, what's that like right now?
Life is good.
Okay.
Until it all drops, but life is good.
But for now, and I guess that's life, isn't it? We stick in the, sometimes there's the peaks and the troughs.
Yeah, you're right.
And at the moment, I guess in terms of Arsenal, I have no idea about football.
You live in the moment.
Right now it's good. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so the real deal question for today is, if you could have an unseen superpower,
yes,
what would it be and why?
Unseen. Oh, okay. So I was thinking about this earlier on. I was thinking, okay, so unseen. If I could have the power of time shifting, or being able to go in between time, like go back and forth, that's one.
Okay. One. You only get one, Okay, all right. You have to. All right, cool. You can have another one.
Then the other one. I think time shifting is good, like going in between times. And then the other one is just to be able to just disappear.
Okay.
Like just disappear. I just, sometimes, and I'm going to start off really deep here, is just to have time to self. Being a dad, 4 boys, a wife.
4 boys.
4 boys.
Oh, I like you put that in at the end there. A wife. So 4 boys, a wife. Sometimes.
Just to disappear, just to be there.
Yeah.
But I've disappeared. But I'm around. But I've disappeared.
Okay, wait. All right. Interesting. So you're there. So what? Like, that sounds like almost like a spiritual being. So like you're there. So you're there, but you've disappeared. So can people see you?
Nah.
Okay, so people can't see you, but you're in the room.
Yes.
And you can see them.
I can see them, but I'm not being disturbed. I just don't want to be disturbed.
Right.
Just leave me be.
Okay, so some parts of time where a little bit of aloneness, a little bit of isolation, but in a good way.
In a good way,
but you can still be present.
Yeah. So I can still give the boys the, hey! And then they'll be like,
hold on. No, you see, now you're talking horror movie, because now what we're saying is, you're saying that you want to be in the front room and I was like, hey, and they're like, Dad? Okay.
Oh, I love it.
All right, lovely. Thank you very much. So, the Black Therapist.
Yes.
Yeah, background wise, we met on Instagram.
Yeah.
I started, it doesn't really matter who followed who first, but I know when I followed you, I saw your content and I thought, the first thing I thought as a Black therapist who identifies as a woman is a Black male therapist in the United Kingdom. Amazing. That was my first thought.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, let me see the content. Let me see what he's coming with. Okay, cool. Monday morning moments. So let's get into that. So first of all, how did the social media account even come about? So the Black Therapist.
Yeah.
And then second of all, your Monday morning moment. How did that come about?
So the Black Therapist was always going to be, because again, it's simple, being Black, being a therapist. And I noticed that there was less of Black males in the market.
100%, yeah.
And I know this because even in my lecturing job, I think I've had only 2 Black male students, of which 1 failed. So yes, it's the one.
Yeah.
And in a way, there was a need, and it just came so naturally. One day, I remember waking up and saying, "That's it. I'm gonna call my Instagram page the Black therapist, and it was there.
Yep.
And it's just gone on from there. So it's just posting constantly. And then after starting to do some work with students, I realized that some of my students were not reading as far.
Look at that is wild. So I realized that they were up in the whole university, but they weren't reading.
Imagine these times I'm marking some work, and you're getting someone citing The Only Way is Essex. I kid you not. The Only Way is Essex.
Hold on. I mean, there could have been a therapeutic link. However, no. Where's the books? Please and thanks.
Exactly. Okay. So having to infuse a little bit of Yolam, a little bit of Peter Langar, whatever it is, it's for me, I felt the need every Monday just to have a moment, just to read text. And that's important.
Definitely. For
people to understand. And it's more, Monday morning moments are targeted towards my students. And I have to say, or to students. And to people who want to know about the therapeutic tests as well. So that they get a sort of an understanding of not just modalities, but also techniques and things that we need to know. So I enjoy reading that, reading books and also trying to put a shine on writers as well.
Definitely. I think what is, I guess what I would describe as accessible. Exactly. About those Monday morning moments is that, as you said, yes, they are directed at the students who don't like to read, but they are also, again, accessible for those who aren't students, those who actually just want to get a bit of an insight, a bit of this is interesting. Oh, maybe I could go and pick this up. I might not be a trainee therapist or a trainee counsellor, but actually I could pick up this book and read it, and it's still all right.
And I had a powerful moment when someone who follows me started reading it was an Eric Byrne book.
Oh, Games People Play.
Exactly. That's it. And she was reading it whilst on holiday. And she was like, oh, thank you. Great recommendation. I was like, whoa. And this was someone totally left, someone who's not even in therapy, but it's just good to see that it works. So you start having that dialogue with people just on your platform, and you see people actually following. I like it. Yeah.
Good. And you started talking there a little bit. We'll go back to almost a superpower question and talking about distance and talking about disappearing and things like that. And I think it's always an important question to ask is, at the moment, how do you feel your mental health is?
You know what? I always say this to people, that even therapists bleed. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like... Yep. People assume that, we've got our life together. I remember working with one client, this was in South London.
Big up South London. Don't make your face like that, Listen, big up South London.
But I remember walking in, and this girl said to me, you can't be my client. You just look like your life, you've got it together. Sorry, she was like, you can't be my therapist.
Yeah, sorry, yep.
You can't be my therapist because you look like you've got it all together. And I'm looking at this guy, and I had the worst, shittiest day ever. Just to get from South End to South London. And this is deep, deep South London. Yeah. And I'm looking at this guy, and I just wanted to, but you can't in that moment. Yeah. And so I always say, look, no matter what happens with therapists and being a dad, being a husband, being an employer, being, everything else that I do, there's times, where you just want to disappear. But be there.
Exactly. And there's such an insight, in a way, that's such an insight, as we say. We talk in therapy sometimes about the wounded healer and about this notion that just, in a therapeutic relationship, it's a human interaction between two people. And as much as possible as therapists, we might get projections of we've got it all together, we're all right. And yes, we may look like we have it all together, but as you said, it can be, what's under the surface. You've had the shittiest day that day. Yeah. It's been tough driving from A to B. And I just I guess out of curiosity, was the therapeutic relationship able to continue, or was she not able to kind of get past that?
Some of the best work I've ever done. Yeah. If I remember quite right, yeah. It was good. But again, it was that reflection to self when people are saying this about you. It is encouraging, but at the same time, it puts you on this, like, I call it like a plastic platform where you have to always check yourself. Cognitive checking, as one of my lecturers you used to say, where you'd have to just tell yourself, okay, fine, I might seem like, but really and truly reality is, and therefore I must go back to that reality and try and sort it out. There's a thing that I think it was Irvin Yalom was saying in one of his last podcasts, when they asked, I think the therapists were asking him, Irvin, what should therapists do? And then he was like, stay in therapy.
Oh, I'm in therapy, And I tell people all the time, as we're aware, we've spoken a bit on this show before about the difference between therapy and supervision.
Yeah.
All therapists should be having supervision in terms of making sure there's a clinical check on their caseload, etc. But you see me, I remain in therapy. Yeah, frequency may change.
Yeah.
It may be okay, cool. Every other week sometimes. Definitely during the pandemic, I ramped that right back up to weekly. Because it's just like in any helping profession. No, you shouldn't be giving all of yourself, but you're still giving a good part of yourself. And then when we were plunged into lockdown, these clients almost were coming into our houses. So if you weren't working online before, all of a sudden you weren't getting the distancing of leaving the house, walking to your office or your therapy room or whatever. These clients were now in your house.
Exactly.
And I think that, as you say, distance, the disappearing, the ability to, and also making sure you're looking after yourself is really, really important.
I remember them times just lecturing in your, it's a hard phenomenon. Like it's, when we look back, I think one time there will be a point when, as a society, we will stop and reflect at just those 2 years or however long it was.
Yes. I don't think we're anywhere close to doing that, but I think we need to.
It's needed because people went through a moment, and I think there's still a lot of hurt. There's still a lot of, I remember telling my students, the year threes, to look at eating disorders because, and just to learn more about eating disorders, because my thought process was people have been cooked up, pardon the pun. People have been in their homes for quite a long time. What is going to happen as soon as they come out?
Exactly.
What have they been doing inside to while up time? So anyway,
it's a lot. It's a lot. And even when we look at even in CAMS, so I do quite a bit of work in CAMS, child and adolescent mental health services, for those that aren't aware, and the increase in OCD, eating disorders, depression, anxiety, PTSD, and we just wanted these children and adolescents who their brain hasn't even finished forming. We just wanted them to pick up and go back to school. Even from an adult perspective, we wanted people to just pick up and go back to work. There's and I always said it, there's going to be a second pandemic, which is we've had our physical health one, and now we're coming into we're already in what I believe is our mental health one.
And it's, you're having to say that we're coming to a second, it's like a second awakening, and people are not aware, which is why we still have that reflection and going through it's like a rinsing process. When you wash clothes, and then you just dry them without rinsing. It's like it takes a longer time for everything else to, or the water to just come out. But if you just rinse.
Wring it. So basically, if you don't wring it out and you just put it up there, it's going to take longer to dry.
I call it rinse. like just literally. And you just, and that process of literally like making it, it's reflecting, going back to that word reflecting. We have to go from day one, from the 23rd of March, if memory serves me right, the 23rd of March, throughout, what happened? What were we doing? What did we learn? It's going to take a long time.
It will. And what I've said, I'm not sure of the age of your children. What I've said is going to be very interesting, and what I want to see is how this pandemic is reflected in history books. Because I really want to know what they're going to be teaching the people then. Because I want to know, when this hits GCSE, about the history of, all of those type of things. Because the lens through which a lot of this is being told is this real kind of, well, you know, there was COVID, then we just locked down.
We did it.
We did it. We got through it.
Thursday, 8 o'clock, we were clapping.
We clapped for the people there, but then after.
You did well, but no one is talking about what I had to do to overcome it.
Yeah.
And that's why I now I've got children's homes. I've got a few children's homes that I decided to stop lecturing and focus more on like just the under 18. So part of my work is to actually look at kids who are coming, or is to take kids who are coming from placements or I say like,
so they're in care parents. Or leaving care.
Yes, that's it. In care. I didn't want to use the terms because obviously I don't know if people understand. But the increase of family breakdowns post COVID.
Oh,
because
huge.
we had to be with our children 24 hours. They couldn't go out, and even if they went out, they were just within the proximity of the garden. So we had to be with them always.
Yeah.
And the after effect of that, and I know people keep talking about it, but the after effect of that is some of us got sick of our children.
Yep.
And also some of our children got sick of us because 100%. They got to see the real us. And therefore they do not want to be like us.
Yeah.
And after effect would be the strain to care or social services and everything else. And that's where I am currently and doing lectures.
And I think, you know what, it's even from a family therapy perspective, because people would find these type of conversations very difficult. So this notion of admitting or being transparent enough to say, I got tired of my children, and vice versa. It's all right to say I got tired of my parents because, they're adolescents or whatever. But admitting and saying, I got tired of my child, I got tired of my husband, my wife, my partner. If we can be more open and actually talk about what those feelings entail,
exactly,
we'd get so much further. But unfortunately, because, again, social media has its greatness as well as its pitfalls.
Yeah.
There was so much, people starting businesses, people doing this, people doing that. And I think then it can feel shameful almost to admit that I had a really awful time.
Yeah. You know what? So it's funny we're talking about, because we're not even supposed to be talking about this, but it's just come to my thought now that South Africa had apartheid.
Yeah.
Post-apartheid, they had to have a reconciliation moment where that's when Mandela came out.
Yeah.
And Desmond Tutu, so he's known for that, where he would sit down with the abusers, for example, and he would have this reconciliation moment.
Right.
So I think they called it the reconciliation. I forget the term, but it was a moment of reconciliation where they would actually sit down with the guards, the soldiers who did that, the police officers who did that. And it was a powerful moment where there was some sort of forgiveness, some sort of, look, we've reflected and I've come to understand. There's a little bit of wholeness that I've got back.
Right.
We need that for post-COVID.
Yeah.
We need that.
Yeah. And I think sorry, go on.
But for therapists, it's good for business.
You know what? It's good for business. Come to us. We'll reconcile you. It's cool.
I just had to throw that in there.
No, but that's the thing. And I think, to be honest, with the way, this supposed cost of living crisis that we're in, and I say supposed because I can't remember who it was, but I was listening to something and they were talking about, we have to realize that just like gender, just like class and all those things, cost of living is a social construct.
It is.
Because actually, there are people that can just decide that it's going to cost less. Right? If we really just make it very plain, and I know that, there's probably the finance people shouting at the screen like, now, no,
Alexis said that. Alexis said that, not me.
But no, I'm sorry. This
it's
whole
true,
notion of oil has to be $1 million, but actually, if all of them people sat down at a table and had a chat,
of course,
I'm sure we could make it not cost that.
Was it not funny when we were queuing for the
toilet roll,
and then we were queuing for like the when the fuel finished, and it was like $1.85, then it was £2, and then now it's like $1.60. It's like, it just feels like someone is like, this one
exactly, but and that's the thing. And I think, again, that's what we're talking about in terms of social constructs. At time, we didn't use money. People bartered in different ways. But as we know, society, capitalism, blah, blah, blah.
Of course, yeah.
But bringing it back slightly to this being a black male as a therapist, I know you mentioned, because obviously I do want to touch on your background in terms of where you're from before living in the UK, for example. And any links between, you know, culture, race, and who you are as a therapist, and how much of your blackness or how much of your culture, how all of those things, how much of that do you feel like you can bring into your therapy work practicing in the United Kingdom?
So I came from Zimbabwe at a young age with my 4 siblings. My parents were already here.
Okay.
They were pastors. So that's I think it's Carl Rogers who says configurations of South America. So that's one configuration.
Okay.
So black.
Yep.
Christian. So I was young, yeah, of course. Zimbabwean. So that's another configuration there. So it was hard moving into this area, and I remember just being part of. I was in North London, and also West London, so North and West at the same time.
That's why you don't like South. Carry on.
No one likes.
Oh my God! He said no one likes South. Wow.
No, I'm joking. I love South. I love South. I love South. I love South.
Carry on.
So it's when I decided. So that's it. So I then went into the finance industry. So I was working for Santander Private Bank for. Actually, it was Abbey National. That's it. When I came in, it was Abbey National. So about 15-year career there, and then I was made redundant.
Okay.
So working in the city at that time, so it was 2005, 2000, and you would see a few of me. Then I remember one day sitting with my wife, and we were thinking about career changes. She was an accountant, and she was also going through this moment where she was like, look, I want something else. I want to do something else. So she decided to be a social worker. So I was thinking, I don't want to be left alone. She's doing something completely different. She's left the money, and she's doing something very touchy-feely, we used to call it. So and I remember the moment I was made redundant, I was thinking, the people that I've left in the city right now, the Mile High Square Mile Club, that's it.
Yeah.
Square Mile Club, drinking, a substance misuse that was rife. The toilets at work just had coke and weed. Everything was there when we were in our suits. So I used to think, addiction, I used to see addiction. I didn't know how to, I didn't want to be part of it, but I wanted to see how I could help.
Yes. Yeah.
So I went University of Essex, 3 years, did that degree, did other few courses after that, and I found myself working in addiction. So I started off in Southend, and then I started to see, again, going back to those configurations of South, where I was, there just a lot of things that I had to overcome. Me being black, me only seeing me in a classroom, someone looking like me, me only seeing me in the different courses. And I used to find that just weird. Like, why aren't there a lot of black people doing this? I always say the counseling degree is a course, depending on where you go, of course.
Yeah.
But that could actually change your life whilst you're doing it. It's like you're seeing that, oh my God, this is the way I do things. This is how I deal with situations. This is how I react. This is what has happened to me in the past, what happened to my parents. Why am I this way? Why is an addict an addict? And it's one of those courses that could actually change you. So again, it was then having to navigate my way through being Christian, through being black, through living in a predominantly white area, having predominantly white clients, and then always being seen as, you know, the cool guy or the guy who can, and Matthew will find a way, and so many configurations that I had to navigate through. And
sometimes when the configurations show themselves as stereotype, like you said, in terms of, you know, the cool guy, you know, it's as soon as you're black, you're cool, which I mean, you know,
a funny story
can
actually.
be true.
Working in the city, and I always say this is funnier stuff. The interview I got to, so I used to work in Abbey National in the branches, then I moved to the private bank area, and my interview in the private bank was 45 minutes of tell us about Arsenal.
Wow.
Yeah. And then my interview at because we had to do an interview for the degree course, was 45 minutes of tell us about you as an individual. Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, guys, you're supposed to be grilling me.
Yeah.
Like everywhere I've just experienced the stereotype. So it was one of those things that motivated me to then become, cut a long story short, to then become a program lead and wanting to like just break down those barriers and those stereotypes and try to advertise for more people who look like me. But yeah, navigating through those configurations was tough. Now, bringing it to the therapy room, it's a shame that, because I usually like to use illustrations, but once that door is closed, it literally is Matthew and.
Right.
Which is why I always I will say, this is my name, this is who I am. And I try as hard as possible to remove the stigma of color from you, although people must know that I am Black. And this is how I react. This is how I do things. But I try and remove that sort of like smoke screen, especially. We'll leave that topic for another time.
Hold on. We can't do that because now people want to know, what topic are we going to leave? How do you mean?
Because sometimes it's especially as a male, and most of the clients that would come into therapy would be female.
Yeah.
And there's that to navigate.
Of course.
And working in a predominantly white place, you're always being, and as therapists, we will hire one place and everyone is like a one office and, we're all using the same offices and we're sharing the same offices. And there's always that, oh, Matthew's got a client who looks like this, or Matthew's got a client. And you're always being watched. It's always, again, it's that configurations coming from therapists as well. So people are you're constantly being looked at, constantly being watched. And it's something that I always tell my students, as well, the two Black males that I worked with, to constantly watch yourself. It's like you always have to be on guard. You always have to be careful. Just a situation like this can be misconstrued outside. Well, what's Matthew doing?
What's happening?
Yeah, what's happening?
And I guess that's the thing. There's always that query. And it's, I want to take like a couple of steps back, from the color side of things, the race side of things. A lot of the teaching that I do is about, we're not talking about color blindness.
Yeah, no.
So we're not talking about, I don't see you as the race that, the racial, how you've been racially categorized.
Yeah.
But we are talking about, actually, can I just be a therapist?
Yeah.
And actually, can I just be treated exactly as a white therapist would be treated? And unfortunately, we are not in that society. We are not in that place. Like you said, there's that extra almost level of, what's going on over there? Right. Oh, what's he doing there?
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And I wonder, is that...
And it's also, and I know, obviously, I'm speaking to a Black female therapist, but it's also from like a Black female therapist.
Of course, yeah.
And it's that constant, like eye just watching.
Yeah.
Like, look, you don't make a mistake.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, even if we tried to like almost understand each other more. And the thing is, to be fair, I talk about this in relationships a lot as well, in terms of, if we just stopped trying to do the, oh, well, Black women have it harder because da-da-da-da. Oh, no, Black men have it harder because da-da-da-da-da. If we actually just agreed that we both have it hard and agreed that, look, how can I help you and how can you also help me?
And that is the point that is powerful, because it's that trying to be, look, I am just treat me as a therapist. That do not put me in this sort of like pigeonhole of male Black therapist or this. Therefore, we need to be more aware of what he's doing. I remember a time when I think it was the BACP. My caseload was just being monitored all the time by the BACP, and you're thinking, what in the world?
Yeah.
Like, but then you sort of like understand. It comes with, number one, being good at your work, but number two, you are male, and I hate to say that, but you
but
start
you see
to
that, but you see, for me, no, like I said, no, I
know.
And that's the thing, and I hear what you're saying, and this is not me telling you no. This is more just kind of saying, actually we have to, and this is what I mean in terms of working together as Black
Exactly.
people too, and
Exactly.
Black people as therapists, is like, no, that's not all right, actually.
Yeah.
It's just like, I know this sounds really awful, but it's this whole thing of male primary school teachers, and especially Black male primary school teachers. And there's research out, there's conversations out about, you know, this sentiment of, because you're a male, what extra does that bring that you therefore need to be scrutinized more, or we need to check you more, or whatever? Well, no, hold on. We need to check everybody.
Yeah. And you know, and you will get to these places where they'll say, no, you know, we don't check, we don't make you feel, we don't, but you get that feeling.
Yeah,
you
the feeling's there regardless.
You get it.
Yeah.
And this is why I was saying, look, that's a topic for another day, because it's what we go through, not just as a Black male, but just as Black therapists. It's
a
hard.
whole, yeah.
It's hard.
It's all right. We'll get you back. We'll do a series. It's all right, but I know your trip is far. So why then, if we just circle back a little bit, so program lead, you're currently taking a sabbatical from that.
Yeah.
Why do you think it is? Not why, but what do you think is in? No, let me start that completely again. Seeing Black men in these positions, why is that important? And how do you think we can see it more?
It's the old adage, isn't it? If I see it, then I can be it.
Yes.
You know, it becomes more achievable. For me, being a program lead, it was a calling. Something that we were speaking about earlier on about decolonizing, just the whole curriculum and stuff like that. I felt as though, not in a, I'm going to bring this whole woke movement to it wasn't in that, but I just wanted people to understand what therapy meant, not from the Western perspective.
100%. Yep.
And also what therapy looked like from every other area of the world. So understanding the Steve Biko's of the world, understanding Frank Talks, understanding other aspects, the Peter Launganis, and you know, different sorts of therapeutic platforms that were there in the past. Understand
before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not just looking at it from a white male Christian perspective. Sorry, Carl Rogers. But it was just that, it was that calling that I just had. And also I felt like it's you know, people will say representation all the time. And that's important. That's important for people to see. I remember saying to my university that put me in the adverts. Let's see what happens. Of course, it just so happened that me being a program lead happened just before COVID, which again, we can blame COVID, but I just wanted to see if I could get more people to do it, just get more people on the course.
Definitely.
But it is one of those things that it's important for people to actually see a lot of us there.
Yeah.
In those positions, and to actually have, I always say, you know, my staff was also predominantly white. For me to be in the position to hire people who look like me, and that's important. Representation is key and is important.
And it's also important that it's not just representation for representation's sake. Do you know what I mean? So this is not just about us saying, okay, cool, well, at least you're there as somebody who is Black and this is your face. It's about making sure that the content that you're bringing, the way that you're teaching as well is really important. When we talk about decolonizing psychotherapy, decolonizing psychology, there's a sense of, we have been taught, even as Black therapists, everything through, like you said, white, male, Eurocentric, heterosexual, that lens is it.
That's it.
So what we're trying to say is, it's not just about representing. It's about saying, this is a different lens.
That's it.
And that's what we need to start bringing into therapy space.
And that's true. I couldn't agree more. And that's why I felt at that time, it was my calling. At some point I will go back. But I feel like right now, you know, we're in a space where, like I said, it's just that whole reflection time and taking stock of what happened before. And I think now my calling is probably to look more unaccompanied asylum seekers. Of course, Brexit happened. A lot of people are coming from out there. Again, a lot of trauma people that have seen a lot of trauma coming, just walking from their house, getting onto a boat, getting to a different country, speaking a different language, and coming over all the way to England. That's, again, I just found myself in love with that. Of course, now I've got a few homes that we have asylum seekers in, but again, it's working with that client, because there's a lot of the crimes that do happen, or a lot of, sorry, not crimes, but a lot of good things that come, or that have come from people in this country, have been from people who are not from this country.
Definitely.
And so, again, that's where I am now.
Love it. Okay. So moving slightly away from then that kind of, how the social media came about and the work that you're doing at the moment, I wanted to think a little bit about resolutions.
Yes.
We're hitting kind of the end of January. We know that this is the time of year when a lot of people are kind of over their resolution. The gyms are getting quieter, those things that, I'm going to go gym every day, I'm going to bang it out. Oh, no, you can't reach. So it's kind of thinking about resolutions. First of all, what are your thoughts on this notion of a New Year's resolution? Did you make any? I think is also another question. And when we think about resolutions in relation to motivation and therapy, what are your kind of thoughts and takes on that and how they impact our mental health? I just asked you about 9 questions in one go.
So I'll tell you this.
So take whatever you want.
I'm not a fan of resolutions.
Okay.
Now, on the other side, I do understand why it's important to have a goal, to write the goal, and to take steps to achieve it. But on my therapist side, or as a therapist, I see what people do to themselves. I'll use gym as an example. So you have these young men who will say, look, I will, I will be gymming, or I will have to eat this at this time, and they'll set their timers, they'll start cooking their meals and doing all these sort of things. And then the minute they miss one, the minute someone starts or relapses, smokes again, it's like the world implodes. Yeah. So from a therapeutic side, I'm not a massive fan of resolutions. What I am a fan of is taking small directed steps towards whatever it is that you want to go to. And so, for example, if I'm going to be reading a book, my target is not to finish a book. It's a page.
Right.
It's a paragraph. If I'm going to be writing a book, my target is not to write a chapter. It's a page.
Right.
It's a paragraph.
Yeah.
If my target is going to be ensuring that I get to, or I lose weight, my target is going to be just going to the gym or just being in the gym, not doing anything in the gym, but just joining a gym, for example. Just those small steps.
Those small, manageable steps.
Yes. Going back to lecturing, I used to tell my students, do you understand how hard it is for someone to just pick up the phone? Just when you're looking at how you get your clients, just a client picking up a phone and dialing a number, that has taken a long time. Yeah. Just that. But just that small step. So small steps getting there. My name is Matthew. So in Desmond's, there used to be a guy called Matthew, and he used to say, there's an old African saying.
Yes.
How do we yam an elephant? One small bite at a time. One small bite. So just those small steps. And that's how we get there. Yeah. We're never going to get hench just by going to the gym one day. No, it's not going to work. You're never going to lose weight just by going to the gym one day. No, it's not. It's a
shame, bro.
So I'm not a fan of resolutions. Just take small steps.
Taking the small steps. And it's like when you think about the cycle of change as well. There's that like you're talking there about picking up the phone. And even that one step of picking up the phone and saying, look, I want to seek help. I want to talk to somebody, etc. is a step and an amazing step in itself. Yeah. Very quickly going back to what you said there about the, men, for example, saying, okay, I want to make this change. And then the one time you don't meal prep or the one time you don't whatever, it implodes. When we think about the pressure on Black men specifically in relation to accessing therapy, getting support, even just the asking for help, we know that male suicide rates, for example, are exceptionally high in terms of help seeking we know that those steps for men in general, but, you know, thinking specifically about Black men, are lower than others in terms of help seeking. What do you think things like the Black Therapist Instagram, you being program lead, what do you think the link is, hopefully, between those kind of things and maybe, you know, more Black men accessing the support they need?
So I was having a discussion with someone the other day, and again, talking about how Black men are not in therapy. There's a thing that we're also doing these days, and it's just reversing your question a little bit. We now, because therapy is so accessible, we tend to force people. You need therapy.
Yeah.
I think it was Kendrick Lamar's latest album where he's talking with his missus or something, and she's like, you need to reach out to, you need to. And we're finding ourselves in this position where we are forcing people into therapy. And I believe these platforms that we have, that you have, that we all have, even this podcast, just people listening sometimes.
Yeah.
Just people seeing that hashtag. And I know seeing a hashtag or seeing something on Instagram is not therapy. I totally get that. But for someone who doesn't want to reach out, who will struggle with sitting down with someone and talking, that's okay.
Definitely.
That's okay. Me seeing a positive message and me changing my mentality, that's a step until I get to that place where I am ready to face or have that one-to-one therapy. Because I find a lot of people nowadays just saying, you need to go to, you need to. And then I'm sitting down with the client or someone saying, oh, my wife said, or my sister said, I need to come here.
Yeah.
And then 6 weeks later, there's that realization that, oh, I do need to come here.
Right.
Of course, that is good. But we need to stop as well. Stop forcing people to doing something. This is nice. Yeah. Therapy is great. Let's not force people.
Exactly. It needs, exactly. It needs to be a choice. And like we spoke there about the cycle of change, that if you're getting people in that pre-contemplation phase, like you said, you can still do the work, but you know, that's 6 weeks of work of trying to work on why you're here. And also that feeling of, you can also push people the other way.
Of course, yeah.
Being told you must can push people the other way. Also, you know, I was very recently, I don't know if you've seen this on social media, these very unhelpful platforms, unfortunately. So sometimes people can then be pushed almost into the other side of it, where they're watching, you know, just very unhelpful podcasts, people spewing stuff. Akon the other day saying that, you know, a man can have a baby by himself. It's a lot of things. Like, there's a lot of... Did you see that? Yeah. There's so many things happening in the world. And that's the thing. And this is very, I think, cheeky of me to be saying while I'm sitting here with you in a studio on a podcast. But everybody and his mother has a podcast. And everybody is talking their talk.
It's the currency of the time. And it is good. But it's also... Look, I'm a firm believer that as long as there is access to something, people will do whatever they want with it. And it's okay. It's okay. It might be, you know, someone might have to, what was it that my mother said the other day? That there's some people, or parents raised killers, you know, good parents raised killers, pastors raised drug dealers, or whatever it is. Look, at the end of the day, someone will change their life at some point. It might not be you. I think you know this, but you know, even us as lecturers and students hate to hear this, but just 15% of the techniques that we teach them, 15% of that accounts to the change that will actually happen in a therapeutic place. Just 15%. So you've gone 3 years or this just for 15%. And really and truly, what we're doing as therapists is nice. Providing this, it's nice. But someone else out there will find help, even from listening to Akon saying...
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I refuse. Akon said he could take his sperm, shoot it in an incubator, and a baby would find itself.
That was a reach.
And then Joe Budden was there nodding his head, talking about, that's what I say. That's what I say.
Listen.
They don't be listening when I say it. I'm like, bruv. Anyway, but we digress.
I know, but people will find some sort. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's a weird world we live in. There's billions of us. Yeah. Someone would have found something motivating in that. Yeah. It's a weird,
sorry, I can't. I really want to agree, but I can't. Do you know what it is? I just think and this is a whole other podcast for another time. We definitely have to get you back. But I think there's really just that sense of everybody saying absolutely anything with
Nonsense.
no form of fact
course.
checking
Of course.
is just, I personally feel really stressing out men. I mean, it's stressing out everybody. But a lot of this, like you said, you know, the Andrew Tates, the Kanye Wests, the Akons, the whatever. This whole notion of, you know, a broken clock is right twice a day. But what about all the rest of the 24 hours where it's not correct?
Yeah.
And all of those real
You're right.
hate-filled stuff that's coming out of some people's mouths.
It is dangerous. It's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
There was a time when Jordan Peterson was hated in academia. There was a time when, you know, we didn't want to even know about him. But now,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Now,
Yeah.
you sit down and you listen and you be like, actually. So it's, yes, at certain times, and actually, let me say this, 80% of the time, Andrew Tate might not be your mix. But then there'll be a 5%. There'll be a, you know what? He does kung fu.
You know, but then this is the difficulty we have though. Because, well, first of all, the whole Andrew Tate thing, there's two sides to that. From an Andrew Tate perspective, I find it very interesting that it's only recently when he got caught by the Romanian police for trafficking, etc. It's only recently they want to start coming out that he's mixed race.
We wonder exactly.
You know, it's this.
I was just about to say that.
I never knew Andrew Tate was mixed race because he was hyping up the white people from early, and then all of a sudden he's trafficking. He's mixed race. And pictures of his dad and and I was like, and his dad was a chess player or something. So I said, Kuya, where did this?
But you see that this again is understanding that whoever controls the narrative, the narrative will always be there. But it's okay. It's okay. Again, going back to Akon, people will say what they want to say. I'm a firm believer. People will say
what they want to say.
I'm a firm believer that, you know, an individual will have the ability to deduct the nonsense from everything else. Of course, we'll follow, let me try and do my sperm that way. But as a therapist, I still see that. Every time I see something like, you know, Akon saying that, I just keep thinking, oh, shame. How could you say that? As a therapist, it's good. Someone is going to come.
Yeah, it's true. We have to hold the hope that people will find the help and will search for it.
They will.
Oh, Matt, we're going to move on to our real deal dilemma. Yeah? All right. So I'm going to read through it. I know I already sent it across to you. But let's have a think. You take a sip of water and get prepped. So, I'm getting married in December and I've been with my fiance for 4 years and I proposed last year. She is much more chilled than other women when it comes to wedding decisions. So it's been okay so far. She has a best friend who is a guy, and they have been friends since primary school. The only thing is that she wants her male friend to be a bridesman. Now, before you think I'm jealous, anyway, before you think I'm jealous, I'm not. I just think it's weird. Where is this man gonna go? What is this man gonna do? Who is he going to pair with? I can't ask one of my boys to walk down the aisle next to another man. My fiance is doubling down on this, and she says that this day won't be the same if her best friend can't be a part of it. But I'm telling her that a bridesman is some weird shit to expect me to get behind. What should I do? So before we go into, I can see that you're already ready, but it's cool. Before we go into it, let's just get a name. So whenever we do our dilemmas, we just make up some names for the people so we know who we're talking about. So what are we going to call the guy? Any random name?
Simon.
And then what are we going to call the wife or fiance?
Stacy.
Okay, cool.
Nice Essex names there.
Essex names. I can see where you are, Simon and Stace. And what are we going to call the male best friend? Thomas. Okay, cool. So, what are your thoughts on Simon's dilemma?
First of all, big up Stacey. At the end of the day, Stacey and Thomas have been through a lot together. I started seeing these are friends. These are friends. Therefore, as Simon, as the man in this situation, it's my wedding day too. Yeah. Why not? I just can't see why Simon wouldn't want Thomas to spend or to be part of that journey together. I think it's a great thing. He can't be paired with anyone, though. He's just got to walk down the aisle by himself as best friend behind. I don't know what that would look like.
Mm-hmm.
But it is tough for Simon. It is tough. It's a tough situation. But why not? Why not?
Okay. All right.
Why not? Yeah.
And why, I'm just thinking, why do you feel like it's a tough situation for Simon? If we really reflect on societal norms, if we really reflect, if I call a spade, I'm getting a little homophobic trend up in here. A little bit. I'm getting
tough.
nuances
It's tough.
of that, in my opinion, but go on.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's a tough decision for Simon because at the end of the day, not even looking at homophobic nuances, but just thinking about the thought process that Simon must have about some next man who's the best friend of my wife. That is a position that I would love at some point to be. Okay. And I'm fighting with Simon, who, with Thomas, who's now. Do you see what I'm saying? So before that, I'm just thinking, how can I get in your position? I want to be my wife's best friend.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I hear that.
Well, I think to be perfectly honest, yeah, you're right. If I was thinking with Simon in today's world, there would be a lot of like homophobic nuances here. Like, my guy, what do you want to do? Do you want me to bring another girl for you, or do you want to? Because my guys are not going to dance with you. I totally get that.
But also as well, it's like, I think there's just this part of me that's like, how did we get to there even being a dance? Because he says, you know, what is this man gonna do? Where is this man gonna go? Who is he gonna pair with? My boys ain't gonna walk down with a next man. And it's just giving me elements of
me. When I read that, the only thing I could say was, how is the next man my wife's best? I've worked hard.
So you're so you're more in the feeling of how is a next man so close to my wife?
On whatever happened in the past, But I want to be in that position. So I'm thinking, how can I, teach me, Thomas? That's what I'm thinking. Thomas is an ally.
So Stace and Thomas have been friends since primary. They haven't said how old they are in the dilemma, but they've been friends since primary.
That doesn't matter.
What do you mean? So we want Stace to just dash her best friend.
I'm best friend.
No, you're not. You're my husband.
Yo.
No.
Listen.
Matt,
Listen.
So my husband is supposed to be my husband and my best friend.
Everything.
Excuse me? My husband's supposed to be my everything.
Yeah.
No, Matt, that can't run.
So am I missing something?
Yes.
No.
Okay, wait, because you mentioned before we started recording that you said you spoke about this to your wife, or you mentioned it to your wife. Yeah. What were her thoughts?
How is the next man?
Really?
My best friend? Yeah. Because we were thinking, I was like, this is why me and you, we sputtered. I was like, yeah. Because at that point.
Is interesting.
I have invested so much, that no matter who was there from day one, whoever was there from day one, I've taken that space.
What? So hold on. So hold on. So when you annoy me, or when we are frustrated, before I do the obvious thing and come and talk to you about that frustration, who do I talk to?
Me.
For those listening and not watching, my hands are on my head.
Wait, hold on.
So as my husband, you're supposed to be my absolute everything. You're supposed to be my brethren. You're supposed to be my cook, my cleaner, my
Hear this.
confidant, my everything.
Who's that singer? You make me want to leave the one
Usher.
wave and start a new. And then his first line was, before anything that came between us, you were like my
best friend.
The one I used to.
Yes.
When me and my.
Hold on.
So what you saying?
No. What my point is hold on. Now I'm heated. What my point is though is, what if you weren't best friends initially? Because that Usher thing was different.
You're right.
That Usher thing was they were friends when they were younger, and then they fell in love, and then so then we are best friends. But Stacey and Thomas went primary. Simon, now rich. Now, yes, I completely understand. Yeah, cool. You're going to be my confidant. I'm going to talk to you about everything. You're my husband. You're my... Speak up yourself.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why you have to be my best friend. And second question, if she had a female best friend, would you also expect that female best friend to have got dashed for you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Maybe I'm too. Is that overpowering?
No.
No.
Well,
It's
I
not
mean, you said
overpowering.
it. No.
No,
You-
because I'm supposed to be bestie. I'm supposed to be. I am supposed to. Yeah, of
so
course.
me and you are going nail shop.
Best friends don't have to go nail shop.
Sorry?
Best friend, what type of best friends do you have?
But no, best friends are supposed to be, we're supposed to go,
I get
we're
it.
supposed to cast, we're supposed to this. Oh my
Yeah.
God, did you watch it? So me and my husband, no.
Yeah. No, I think that there's like.
And by the way, I'm not saying that men can't go to the nail shop. I'm just saying that was an example.
But I think that by virtue of me being your husband
Right.
and your confidant,
Yeah,
I
agreed.
automatically am best friend. Now, this is why Thomas becomes my ally. So if I'm Simon, I'm thinking, Thomas, teach me, because you're now. I need to know how to get to your position with my wife on my wedding day. Like I need that
This
position where
is
Thomas is. I'm not going to dash Thomas away.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Thomas is my ally.
So you're kind of keeping people closer.
Of course. So
Okay.
Thomas, yeah, you wear what you want to wear. You walk behind us with our ring bearer or whoever it is.
Okay.
I'm giving you that position.
Okay. So you're
Yeah.
so for you. Okay. So if it was you, as Simon, you would say, "Come true, Thomas.
Come true.
Do your thing.
Do your thing.
Wear what you want to wear.
What you wear.
Okay.
But I want your position.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait. Why can you not be best friends with your partner?
No. I'm
You
not.
can.
No. Yeah.
You can,
So I'm
right.
not saying you can't be.
Yeah.
I'm saying that there shouldn't be an expectation that you are. So this is what I mean in terms of like, if that just happens to be, well, people can have two best friends. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly,
Like I can be
yeah.
a best friend with my husband, but I still just think from a this whole "you are my everything" vibe doesn't really kick with me. Like, because I just feel
why
like
not?
because I just feel like there should be some separation. I feel like that's healthy. If we go back to what we were talking about. Remember what we were talking about when we were talking about we spent 24 hours in lockdown, and I'm sure there were many relationships where this person couldn't stand the sight of you. That's because there was never any
Friendship before there was courtship.
See, I don't know.
So if
because if I got to spend 24 hours with you, I could love you bad, but I still want to go out in it.
Yeah, and that's calm.
Yeah.
That's calm. But in order for us to we need to have some level of friendship.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of
it's got to
course.
be
Yeah.
best friendship. So I've got to be able to. I can't just be living with someone if at some point I'm not going to stand. Well, I'm going to hate the sight of you, which is again.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think that best friend position, that's mine.
Wow.
That's mine. Listen,
Okay.
and coming from the country I come from, or from the culture I come from, and most African cultures, we're paying dowry.
With it.
What are you talking about?
So because I rolled up in here with
Yeah, I
couple
paid for that best
couple
friend.
goat, couple cow,
I'm
and,
playing.
and two flour.
Yeah, listen, my sisters are gonna be like, yeah, that's the reason why.
But that's the thing. I'd be interested in into what your sisters think about
Alexis,
this.
Alex, But I'm best friend. I'm everything.
Wow.
Thomas-
Okay.
but
And
Thomas
you know
is an
what?
ally.
If that's okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's get to the answer to this. So,
Yeah.
I just want you to look directly into this camera.
Yes.
And I want you to talk. I'm going to do it after you. So you'll go first, then I'll go. Look directly into that camera and just tell Simon. So Simon's question was, he doesn't want Thomas to be part of the wedding.
Yeah.
She does. What should he do? Tell Simon.
Simon, when I got married 15 years ago, my wife wanted lilies, fresh lilies. Fresh lilies at that time cost £400. She wanted a whole hall furnished with fresh lilies. Do you know how much that cost, Simon? Give the woman what she wants for her wedding. Thomas is your ally. He's not the enemy. Thomas is your ally. You want to become best friend. Learn from Thomas.
Look at that. And I feel what we're going to take from that as well is buy your girl the lilies. Beautiful. I also love that she wanted lilies. Lilies are vibes. Simon, I don't even have too much to add to that. I just feel, have a check-in with yourself as to why this is such a thing. I agree. He doesn't necessarily have to walk down the aisle partnered with any of the mandem in terms of the groomsmen. But I think that we're in 2023. I think there are lots of different ways to do a wedding. It doesn't have to be the societal norms. And I think check in with yourself about what the real issue is that you have with Thomas, because I feel like there's more than you've let on. But all the best in the wedding. You never know, Matt. We might get an invite. Who knows? We might get an invite.
But do you notice how we went from like homophobic to like
because I still feel like there's some of those things of like, you know, who's he gonna pair with? Who's he gonna? It was giving me man on man is not the vibe I'm looking vibes. Yeah, but
or jealous vibes.
And that's the other thing, because it's also thinking jealousy. You don't want this next man in your wedding because you're her everything.
Which is why we use Thomas as an ally.
Yeah,
teach us,
it. No,
Thomas.
I agree. Matt, it has been a show. Thank you so much for making it down.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been wonderful. Socials at The Black Therapist.
Yes.
Yep.
Every Monday morning.
Monday morning moment. Follow him. It's full of gems. If you want to send us your real deal dilemmas, please send your emails to realdealshow100@gmail.com, or you can also send me a DM at rastabarbie84. Anything else you want to share with the people, Matt, before we go?
I can't wait to hear you sing.
Goodbye, everybody. See you later.